From the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased to have with me Patrick joining me from Nebraska in the US. Patrick, the way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves, right? Because I believe no one can introduce someone else better than themselves. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll do my best, Mehmet. My name's Patrick Williams. I'm a lifelong artist, and I do creativity consulting with businesses and entrepreneurs, mentorships, working with individuals, teamwork, and with entire businesses to assist them restoring their innate creativity, not getting them to be artists. If they like that, that's great. But I'm interested in having people connect with their creative selves so they can do innovation and other work inside their business more easily. I'm also a TEDx speaker. I'm working on a couple manuscripts that are related to creativity, and my wife and I have had a nonprofit for 22 years, Arts, Education, and Healing. So I have many hats, so to speak, that I put on throughout my day and my week.
That's great, Patrick. And some people ask me, although your show name is CTO Show, why you have a blend of guests? And honestly speaking, I believe because you mentioned something, and we will talk like shortly about it, about you know creativity and your work with businesses. So, and always it's good to have someone, maybe like yourself, Patrick. You've gathered all this experience, and you are into the arts also as well. So you can, I think, shed a lot of light. But I'm interested, how this diverse experiences between art, teaching, and all the other work that you do have influenced your approach to innovation.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mehmet. I believe that you tuned in on something very important, that I am not inside the larger business world. So that, some people think that's a disadvantage, but I think there's a lot of advantage to that, because I'm able to see things that a lot of people are just so used to that they miss it. And so I'm I'm attempting to bring all of my past of teaching art, teaching martial arts, also karate and aikido, and those bring very interesting cross domains together. And that's part of what I emphasize, is that so often businesses, let's say a team is working on a project, and they're so focused on that one project that they start to miss out on opportunities where innovation can come into their awareness. And that's one of the many parts of my exercises, that I assist people in being more aware of themselves and how they relate to the world around them, their environment, but also to their teammates or their coworkers, or whatever they might be doing with respect to business. So it's a matter of assisting people in seeing the world in a larger context. And I've gained that from all of my experience teaching children and teaching adults. And those are somewhat similar, but it takes a little bit of it takes more finesse actually to teach adults than it does to teach children. Children are open and ready to learn, especially when it's fun and exciting. So uh, I bring with me a lot of awareness around how people learn and often what gets in the way of people learning, especially adults. Adults often have a lot of small and large things blocking them from connecting with their creativity or more properly reconnecting with their creativity.
That's good insight, Patrick. Now, when I was preparing, and you know, I've seen like the work you have done and the topics that you usually talk about. And there are two words that actually even me on the show I keep repeating, right? So we talk about sometimes creativity and sometimes we talk about innovation.
Mm.
So in your opinion, are they two separate things? First, if they are, so what is each one then? So let's keep it to this, so I don't
Sure,
I don't take the questions forward, because I will have a lot of questions. So
sure.
yeah, so let's focus on what's the difference between innovation and creativity.
Yeah, that's a giant question, and I I believe that creativity is it precedes innovation. That's why I'm excited and focused on assisting people with restoring their innate and inner creative awareness and their creative self. Because I believe if you don't have a strong connection to your creativity, then you will not get to the innovation. People want the innovation. That's the the big fish. That's the next big thing that they want to get. But they can't get to that if they're not solid in their creative awareness and their creative potential and seeing that, putting in, making it kinetic, not just potential. It's all potential inside of us, but making that a kinetic action that then moves into innovation. I think innovation is they're very similar, but there's a different quality to innovation. Innovation is often as I started to look into the levels of how businesses relate to innovation, there are, which is obvious that business are connected to the sort of the uh, the grid system. There's a step one, step two, step three, step four, step five, however many steps there are, and businesses are in that spreadsheet mentality, which is great. That's a superpower that, businesses need that spreadsheet awareness. But within both creativity and innovation, there are especially creativity is massively intangible, which makes businesses a little bit nervous. They want to see, oh, if I do these three steps with respect to creativity, I'm going to be creative. Well, there may be three steps, there may be 100 steps, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be creative. Creativity is a quality that emerges, that can emerge in a sudden flash, uh, a light bulb moment. Satori Innovation is the name of my business, and Satori is a Japanese word that means sudden awakening, sudden awareness. That happens, and often with big innovations, that is exactly how it happens, is a spark of creativity literally ignites an idea, and then that idea can be followed through. And in some ways, innovation is the following through of the creative moment. But inside of innovation, I believe creativity still needs to be happening. There still needs to be a window open so to speak, in the room of innovation, there has to be either a window open or door open or a some kind of inner space that the creative can be active in a way like lighting a candle in memory of someone, or lighting a candle as a celebration of a birth. Lighting a candle, I'm not telling people to light candles, but if that works, great. But lighting a candle inside your space that is your innovation space is going to remind you the creativity is still necessary and still happening. So one of the in a way, it's not necessarily an exercise, but one of the things that I assist people with is having a some part of your environment. Let's say it's your office at home, your office at work, the team space, the team area that you're doing team meetings in, but have some objects there. If it's just you, collect a few objects that remind you of your creativity, or reminds you, having a little reproduction of a Monet painting, or a poem, a Rumi poem, whatever will trigger your feeling of, oh yeah, that's creativity. That will help you with the innovation. The innovation is in a way, the innovation is the long path, and creativity is the exciting vistas that you may be on a mountain path and you're in the trees and you're in the trees, and every once in a while you pop out, you stand on a boulder and you look out over the entire mountain range. That's the creativity. You're still on the innovation path, but then you go back into the trees and you may be there for, a mile or so, and then you pop out into another beautiful area that's your creativity awareness or your creativity moment. So the creativity has to be always within you as you're working through your innovation process. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense. So, I've got it. So the innovation is the end goal, right? And creativity is the vehicle that will take us to that end goal, right? So,
Absolutely. Right.
yeah.
And
And
sometimes you're in a Ferrari, and
yes.
sometimes in like a Ford Pinto, right? I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes the car breaks down and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And that's part of the creative process. And in fact, I assist people. Those are really important parts of the creative process. That sense of being stuck and being frustrated, because when we're frustrated in a healthy sense, we're going to be actively searching to unfrustrate ourselves, or we're going to be looking and thinking and feeling about how to become unstuck. So those are when the car breaks down, it's a sign that, well, obviously something isn't working, and I got to figure out how to get it working again. And that will launch you up, not easily, sometimes easily, sometimes it takes work, but that will launch you into another level of both the creativity and the innovation that will push you forward. So we all want to we all want to stay in the Ferrari, but
right.
we can't always drive the Ferrari. We need to be exploring, some if you're going to go up into the mountains, like way up on some really rough road or off road, you're not going to take the Ferrari. You're going to
True.
take a Jeep, to a four-wheel drive vehicle to get it back into the backcountry. And
100%.
sometimes the greatest innovations and the best creativity are in those backcountry roads where nobody else has been.
Agreed. Agreed with you, Patrick. Now, of course, this I would say is, I will focus more on creativity because, it's like it's. I believe and I agree with you. If you have the creativity, the innovation will come somehow. Okay, maybe in short time, long time, And because I cover about startup founders, entrepreneurs, and so on. So one thing, when I have discussion with people, and this is, I don't like to hear it, but unfortunately some people are like this. You say, okay, why you don't try to go and do something? They say, oh, I'm not creative.
Mm,
I'm not this kind of guy. I'm just, you give me something, I do it. Like I'm a kind of a task achiever kind of a person. But I say, no, I don't believe so, right? And I think everyone can be creative. So now the question, Patrick, is first, am I right? Is everyone can be creative? And if someone, you know, he or she's not able to figure it out, like, okay, how I can get this creativity, where I can learn about creativity, can I actually be taught how to be creative?
it's super question, and it's people often ask it. My first response is that yes, you are creative. When you were a child, you were naturally creative. Your creativity was innate. It was you were a creative dynamo. You didn't have to think about being creative. It was just a natural state of chil- who children are. So it hasn't gone anywhere, and it really can't go anywhere. It is always within you. Reconnecting to it is the process that I assist people with. And one of the explanations in I'm preparing a manuscript, and within the manuscript, it's based on my philosophy of creativity. And part of that is something I call creative colonization. And that explains partly why people feel exactly how you described it. That, oh, I can't, I can't be creative. I can't draw, I can't write, I can't play a musical instrument, whatever. That is connected to what I call creative colonization. It's when children are pushed away from their natural creative processes, their play, their imagination, and their creativity. And it's a strong word, but it really describes this ripping from them, ripping from children, how they naturally learn. All children, and actually adults, we all learn through our play, our imagination, and our creativity. If we're not having fun learning something, then it kind of turns into education, and education is based on rote and memorization, and often not fun. There are, of course, all of us learned things in school, but those are the things that we were really excited about and really engaged with. Math may be something that a 6-year-old girl or 6-year-old boy loves, and so they're going to learn a lot of the math qualities and the math exercises and thinking with numbers. With other kids, that may not be an interest. They may love writing. They may love drawing, like I did. So the focus of of children learning is connected to their play. And as we go through this kind of creative colonization process, we come to a moment. It may be one single moment, or it may be just a series of events that we experience what I call a creative collapse. And that's when we stop doing a part of our artistic expression. We stop singing, we stop dancing, we stop wanting to play a musical instrument, we stop drawing. Any of these things that we love to do in a very creative uh, mindset, we just stop. And then I describe that as a kind of creative void that occurs. And many adults, sadly, are inside this creative void. And that's part of why they say or why they feel I can't I can't do anything creative. I can't draw, I can't paint. And that extends into I can't be creative in my business because they have this in a way this weight of not feeling like they can be creative, but they are, because they were when they were children. Before that creative collapse happened, they they were totally creative. So the the person that says, "Oh, I can't, I don't have a creative bone in my body." I hear that often when if I say that I'm an artist. Uh, so I tell them that yes, you are creative, and it's a matter of scale. When you're restoring, when you're beginning your journey of restoring your creativity, you make small steps and you build on that. It doesn't happen in one, it could, it might. That would be great if it happened in one moment, in one fell swoop. That is possible and that does happen. But be prepared for it to take a while to get back into that inner awareness of your natural creativity, because it's there and it can be reconnected to.
Well, that's very encouraging, I would say, Patrick. Now, the question is, okay, so the key here is someone, they've got to be a little bit patient. They need to take it easy, I would say, not to force themselves. Oh, why I'm not creative, something like this, right? So it's
Right.
like they need to give it to the natural flow. But is there anything that can maybe, you know, accelerate this little bit? Is there like some kind of activities that they might, go engage? Maybe it's, because you mentioned like going to mountain or maybe something like this. I don't know. Like you're the expert, Patrick. So what I can do if today I am Mehmet, and sometimes I feel this also as well. I'm not saying I'm not creative, but I feel today, you know what? Nothing is coming to my mind. I don't know what should I do. But I'm sure that I know some of the tactics, but I want to hear that from you, Patrick. What can we do to little bit accelerate things, or let at least see even small enhancement that will encourage us, you know, to wait and keep moving?
Absolutely. Yes, that is what people want to know, is how to restore their creativity. And I have a lot of exercises and suggestions. One of them is, you mentioned it, and I've already spoken about it. Is get out into nature, and if you're not near nature, then go out and take a walk around in a city park or whatever it might be. There, hopefully there's some kind of there's a lake, a pond, some trees, some grass, whatever it might be. Just get out in nature and relax, and just allow your mind to be as free as you possibly can, which is, in some ways, I also encourage people to do breathing exercises. And there are lots of, I walk people through some very simple methodologies of breathing awareness. There are I think there are probably millions of people, for sure, thousands of people on YouTube who do breathing exercises for people, teach people how to do simple breathing exercises. But that is an absolutely necessary part of getting back in touch with your creativity, is relaxing your body, relaxing your mind. Breathing is going to do both, and it will allow you to distance yourself from kind of the spinning thinking place where people get into. All of us have it. We Where our mind is just spinning and spinning and spinning, and it almost spins more on spinning, when because our thoughts get in a kind of a trap, kind of a wheel that just is rolling and rolling and rolling. Breathing, doing some breathing, simple exercises. You can just breathe in and breathe out with thinking about breathing in and breathing out. Do that 10 times, and do that maybe 3 times a day. And that's going to help you re reconnect with yourself. And when we reconnect with ourselves, we start to relax. And when we start to relax, we begin to become open to other awarenesses, other thought patterns, other uh, moments when light bulbs can come on. So getting out into nature is important, or just getting out and taking a walk. Lots of writers and composers and artists, especially before 1900, always were taking walks. Scientists, inventors, always taking a walk, clearing their thoughts, but still having what I teach is that when you're on your walk, and you can go on the walk and just relax and just focus on being unbusy, but you can also be on the walk. And this is one of the things I stress with people: be on your walk and in a relaxed way, think about the project that you're working on and let thoughts come into you. And I also suggest that people, this is a kind of a homework project that I give people: pick a jazz group that's playing in your area. Take it, if it's just you, just go with your partner or your significant other. Go and enjoy the music, but also keep in your awareness your project. So let's say it's a team and the team is working on a project. I encourage the team to go. Let's say there are 10 of you. You all go to the jazz lounge, listen to the music, but you all have your project journals with you. And journaling is one of the exercises that I highly encourage people to do, both with respect to just a personal journal, but also project journals. So the team goes to listen to jazz and they have their journals. They're enjoying the jazz. They may be having some, casual conversation, but they're also keeping in their awareness the project. As as I go to jazz, my wife and I just went to a performance of Handel's Messiah on Sunday. As I'm there, I'm not just focusing on the music. I am doing that, but I also have inside my awareness the paintings that I'm working on. So there's a feedback loop that's happening, a natural feedback loop, that I'm being informed by the music and the singers and the musicians, but they're also informing me about my work. The team one month goes to jazz, then the next month they may go to a museum and look at sculpture and paintings. The next month they may go to go look at 5 buildings, the architecture of 3 to 5 buildings in their city or their town that have a significant presence. Uh, so they're looking at how the building looks, what they feel, the arrangement of the windows, the columns, the substance that is it brick, is it stone, is it steel, how much glass is there, how is the glass, how is it arranged, and then they do that on the inside. So each of these steps are ways in which people can, I call it cross domain learning. So the architecture will inform you about your project, even though it may not make sense to the team members at first, but the more they practice this, the more they will understand when I'm experiencing other creativity, like a jazz or an orchestra, a poetry slam, whatever it might be. And there's lots of options that people can plug into. When that happens, they're receiving lots of new information, lots of information that has is in that world of the intangible that is going to feed their project or their widget that they're designing or they want to design. Sometimes it's direct. There's the story of the person who basically discovered and invented Velcro. I think he was from Scandinavia. He was out walking in a field, and his either wool pants or wool socks grabbed hold of some uh, weeds, basically, and he pulled one off and he looked at it really closely, and the weeds had little teeth on them. And then he realized that his wool socks kind of had little uh, circles on them, and they had this perfect connection. And then he came up with Velcro. Just poof, the connection happened in nature. So we don't know when or how these connections happen, but if we don't put ourselves in these areas that are have a high potential of information and connection, then we're less likely to experience those kinds of cross domain light bulbs, so to speak. Does that make sense?
100%. Like it even resonated with some personal experience I had. This is why whatever situation I'm passing through, even sometimes, this, like we are all humans, we pass through some times, but yeah, it's like uh, changing the place sometimes, to go to place where you see something different, something new. It can have direct effect. And also because, I remember I read it in multiple books where they mention about, for example, uh, Thomas Edison, when he wanted to he used to go to Menlo Park, right? So he used to change the environment so he could,
Absolutely.
this inspiration. And yeah, so a lot of things, sometimes we don't figure it out because I think we don't want to move. And you just mentioned something extremely important, Patrick, because about, keep spinning and thinking about the spinning. So it's like you jail literally your mind
Right.
there,
Right.
and yeah, in a circle, and you cannot go out of. Actually, you can. I mean, and this is where, the whole concept of uh, like the mindful, and you just, to close your eyes, take deep breath. So personally, this something helped me a lot. At least, like even if it doesn't bring creativity, but it let me feel relaxed. Like I
Yes.
feel myself doing better.
Right.
And again, you need to give yourself some time. Like don't expect, it's not like the potion you drink, and you get this. But how we can make sure, Patrick, that okay, we started to do this. We know that it's gonna take time. I started to get some signals that,
Hmm.
okay, I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
How I can sustain this, how I can keep it with me,
Yeah,
and I
that's
don't lose it again.
yeah. That's a super good question. So sustaining and maintaining are both parts that of this big process that people are very, very interested in. And in some ways, the secret, so to speak, is in keeping something in your life that is creative. I do, as an example, I do what I call a morning meditation drawing. Every morning, I make a ink drawing in my journal. It's the first thing I do in the morning. I have coffee. I put a little music on. My one of my cats sits on my lap, and I make my drawing. And I have an Instagram site that I then post that drawing every morning, and I think I have 6 years of those drawings. I draw, and this is an exercise I do with people. And what's good about this exercise, it is something that you can do every day, and it doesn't have to take very long. It it's a simple prompt. You draw two circles and you make marks. And I'm I'm an artist, and my circles and my marks, I'm making 3 circles this year. Some years I have done 2 circles. One year I did 2 circles, and I used, colored pencils, uh, but mostly it's just black and white. So the prompt is just as I do, I have this creative exercise that I do every day. And let's say some people will only have maybe 5 minutes to draw their circles and make marks. That's fine. That's totally fine. It means that you're connecting to your creativity every day. And that is what sustains us and maintains our, in a way, our creative strength. That if you don't do that, if it just kind of, if it starts to drift away, and this is something that is so prevalent in the realm of training and in the world of workshops, that people have these big experience in the workshop or when they're in the training, and then a week later or 2 weeks later or a month later, they're not doing it anymore. What I encourage people with journaling is a way to remind ourselves every day, journaling on paper and using a pen, not on a screen. The activity, the physical activity is very important, using a pen and writing down your thoughts and your feelings. That will help you process your emerging sustaining of your creativity. Having a place to write about it and just say, "Well, I I missed yesterday and I feel badly about that, but I'm going to do a drawing today and keep it happening." It may be you sing for 5 minutes. You may dance for 5 minutes. You may write poetry for 5 minutes. As long as it's something that you have an excitement about, and you can do it every day. And that is how to sustain it. We breathe, as an example, we breathe every day. We have to. But if we have 10 breaths 3 times a day that we're connecting to it rather than how we usually breathe, which is just automatic, but that will key you in. And especially if you link the breathing with your creativity as a both a physical and a mindful affirmation. There we do things every day and we sustain them when they're meaningful and when we see, obviously, in the business world, when we see results. And I strongly feel that you begin to see results doing these simple, as I said, it could be 5 minutes, it could be half an hour, whatever amount of time that you are able to connect to. It may start out at 5 minutes, but then after a couple months, you think, you know what, I need 15 minutes to do this exercise because I'm getting so much out of it. That's great. Just as long as it's a consistent and persistent activity to keep the sustaining aspects and the maintaining aspects alive. And it takes work. It takes a reminder with people that are not artists. It is sometimes challenging. Even artists have challenges with this. I'm blessed because for whatever reason, I'm able to make art wherever and whenever I find myself. It could be here in my studio or up in the house or wherever it might be. On, driving in a bus, in a plane, it happens. But it takes a kind of concentration. And that's what I assist people with, is how maintenance and sustaining are connected to a kind of focus and a kind of concentration, that we have to concentrate on this. If we want to get to innovation, we have to have some processes that we sustain and that we maintain that will make the innovation a more probable experience. There's a great quote from uh, Louis Pasteur that, and this is in the context of his world in the 1800s, but he said, let me grab that from the from the world out here in the mind world. In the process, in the field of observation, chance favors the prepared mind. I'll say it again. In the field of observation, chance favors the prepared mind. And I've changed that a little bit. In the field of innovation, chance favors the prepared mind. And so it's honoring the space where things happen. We all know things happen. We have an idea. That's somewhat attributed to chance. But what Pasteur is saying that it happens more often when you're prepared. And as an artist, my studio is set up to prepare me to have those experiences of information. That's why I encourage people to have something in their office, in their team space that prepares them to be creative, that sets them up in a way that they're going to bump into better and better ideas or bump into a big awareness. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think, I hope, and I'm having big hopes that a lot of entrepreneurs would be listening to this, because I think the whole thing about the journey of entrepreneurship is to stay in this state all the time, right? Because it's not like, okay, I will be creative one time and I'm done. Like, it's not the case. And I think what you mentioned, Patrick, is something that, because I listened, watched, read a lot. So it's about building the habit, actually. So it's about building the healthy habit of repeating something which is basically helping us. And this is, first time I saw it, I said, really? Like, really? And you can build habits. And there are a lot of books, a lot of even, you know, famous public speakers that they mentioned this, that, habits needs time. You need like 60 days or so to build them. And actually, no, when I tried it worked for me.
Yes.
And the first step is to break the belief, whatever this bad belief is. So once you break that, you manage to do it. And the reason I just circled back to the entrepreneurs is, because you work with a lot of businesses, and you look at them again from another circle, I would say, sorry, from another perspective. How important is for entrepreneurs, for first time founders
Mm.
down the road, to foster this culture of creativity, and which will lead, I'm sure, 100% based on the discussion that we've had now, Patrick, it will lead for innovation for sure. There's no way, that innovation will not come, right? But how we can build. You mentioned some stuff to go the team out and so on, but again, like maybe to make it a little bit fancy, what is the spell here? So
Mm.
how me, if I am an entrepreneur, and I started maybe with one co-founder, maybe small team, but the team gonna grow. If everything goes fine, the team will grow. Well, today we're maybe 2 or 3, tomorrow we are 10, later we're gonna be 50. But I want to maintain this, because one of the things that always I ask, on the podcast, my guests is, and this is something maybe from your angle you can, enlighten us.
Mm.
Once the team grows to after certain point,
Mm.
things breaks, and this culture fade. So
Sure.
how I can, as much as possible, keep this creativity, innovation culture within my business?
Yeah, that's a super great question, and uh, there's a lot of parts to that. One of the first things I thought of, one to begin is that entrepreneurs are some of the people who are most like artists. So they are they are driven, they're passionate, they have an ability to focus on uh, some very clear single goals and thoughts, and they're connected to creativity very, very deeply. Often they don't realize it because they're so intense on their goal and their focus. One thing that I thought of is that we have examples, we have lots of examples, and especially before 1950 of, uh, let's say the example of Einstein, he played violin and he would use that, obviously, as I'm describing, to shift his awareness, shift his thinking patterns, shift his mindset, and it would open him up to the ability to access new information, new ideas, etc. My sense is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are gifted or and maybe gifted, or at least they have a connection to that may be current with respect to, let's say, playing a musical instrument, using the Einstein example. Let's say it's a guitar, an electric guitar. I would suggest that let's say the CEO of this, the entrepreneur, the CEO, the founder, there's three people in the group, in the company right now. I would suggest that he has his electric guitar and his amp in his office, and he spends whatever, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes every few hours playing the guitar. Everybody sees that, and that he continues to do that as the business grows. So there's an example. Modeling is so important. There's an example of, oh, you know, uh, Janice, the CEO, there she is. She's playing a guitar, and she does that 4 times a day, and people understand that she's doing it not just to like space, not to avoid things, but she's doing it because the culture within the company knows that that's such an important process to be involved with, is her playing guitar, or maybe it's her singing, or there's a guy that plays the drums, or whatever it might be. As long as they're uh, practicing that behavior, that, let's say, they like to draw or paint, there's an easel in their studio, in their office, with a painting that is actually happening. Not just a blank canvas and some paints nearby, but there's progress that people can see that, oh, something is happening. So it builds into the culture, not just a ping pong table or a foosball table or bean bags. It's culture is beyond that, and a way that we can build a bigger culture with in some ways with a capital C culture within a company, is to connect it to the larger capital C culture of our world, which involves the arts. So when people are expressing an artistic flair, and all the team can see, and that is encouraged, to have part of your day involved in having some art project going on, it's going to spur everybody participating. People can see, oh my God, that painting is really, that's great. It's really coming along. And it doesn't have to be museum level painting, or Carnegie Hall level piano playing. It simply needs to be self-expression. So I believe, if people would be seeing that within the company culture as it grows, say he or she is playing guitar and there's just three of you in the company, and then 2 years later there's 30 people in the company, and you're still playing guitar in your office, a couple times a day. People and the inside the company culture, that's encouraged to keep this stream alive of creativity, rather than it becoming a drought, which you kind of referred to, that you know people can do it for a little bit, but then they kind of lose track of it. If you keep it flowing, then it's going to assist in the flow of everybody else's stream of creativity that flows into a little river, into a bigger river, and into the ocean of creativity that everything can reverberate off of each other. And that's where the maintenance and the sustaining of the creative qualities within a business will then keep going, because it builds off of each other. If the CEO is like, wow, she hasn't played her guitar for a couple days, I wonder what's going on, that will instill a different kind of connection. People will ask, are you okay? What's going on? Are you distracted? Or, you should I'll come in and I'll bring my conga in, and we can do a little improv, or whatever it might be, just to keep that going. People will notice when somebody's if there's a painting and nothing's happened to the painting for a few days, you can say, "Hey, what's up with the painting? What's happening?" You know, how can I help? So that's the little c in culture that so often companies are talking about. But I believe that there's an opportunity for us to bring our examples of the bigger C culture, which is global. Everybody on the planet has a connection to their local culture with a big C. The community in which you live has a relationship to music, has a relationship to image making, has a relationship to written and spoken word all over the world. That can be brought into the culture of your company to enliven your creative uh, maintenance and sustaining qualities. Did that make sense? Was that kind of the in the realm?
100%. 100%. And actually, if you allow me, Patrick, to just add, to simplify it also. I mean, it is it applies to everything when it comes to entrepreneurship, which is leading by example, right?
Absolutely.
So I need to keep doing it. So the team, okay, I'm doing it because even like the founder is doing it, even my team lead is doing it, my manager is doing it, and when we keep this going on, we keep it like kind of a natural flow, in within the company. So everyone, and by the way, I've seen a lot of companies that it's not necessarily when it comes to creativity or like innovation, but they have some, let's call them rituals that they've been doing for years now, and like everyone is happy about it. Why? Because the founder is doing it, or the CEO is doing it, the leadership team is doing it. So
Yes.
100% something true, I would say, Patrick. Now, Patrick, as we're coming almost to an end, what like wisdom words you
Ah,
want to keep with us today?
ah. Oh, thank you. Uh, be creative. It's inside of you. You don't have to worry about not being creative, because I guarantee you, when you were 5 years old, your creativity switch was on, and it only went off when you went to sleep. And even then, I think we were all dreaming super creative things when we were 5 and 6 years old. So my I want to leave people with that. I want to leave people with that they can always reconnect and restore their authentic creativity, and then apply it to whatever part of their life that they see needs it the most. And I think it can be applied across the board, to your business, to your relationships, to your family, to your community, everything. The more creative we are, the better off we are.
100%. And Patrick, last thing, where people can find more about you?
Sure. My business website is called uh, Satori Innovation, and it can also be reached at Patrick Williams Stay Creative. That's the main domain name, but I pointed Satori Innovation to the site. And to look at my art, I have two art sites. One is patrickwilliams.com, and the other is celebrationflowerpaintings.com. I have two Instagram sites. One is the one I described earlier. That is PMW Creativity, and that's all drawings. I'm close to 2,500, and so it goes back 6 years, I think. And then PMW_camera is my photography site where I post a new photograph every day. And there's a whole bunch of those now. And people can reach me at patrickwilliams.com. I'd love to hear from anybody out there who's interested in restoring their creativity.
Cool. I will make sure that I will put all these website links in the show notes of this episode. So, or the description if you are watching this over YouTube. So you'll see all the links that Patrick mentioned now. Patrick, really, one of the episodes that I enjoyed doing today with you, because I love, these topics. These topics are close to my heart. Of course, like it's a, you know, kind of a tech show. People think because of the name, but this has come back to basics, I would say, because just the fact you said, like when someone were 5 years old, actually they were creative, and then a switch went off for a reason or another, but we can turn it on back. And this is why um I enjoyed these deep insights that you gave us today, the advices that you gave us today. And I can claim somehow that I'm a live example as well. It's like, it's been years. I remember when I was recording myself, this is just a small anecdote before we close. I was recording myself on the tape, uh, claiming to be a radio host, right? Because I wanted always to be a radio host, someone who's an anchor, maybe. I don't know. And then, but I never did it, and then I took another route. And then all of a sudden, something ticked in my mind, I said, okay, why I don't revive that, and by doing a podcast. Okay,
And
it might work, it might not, right? But it's like something as you mentioned, like something triggered me to do it. Okay, I think this relate to something I wanted to do way back in time, and it's time to do it. And it's always back to all what you mentioned, and you need to always keep in, I would say, receiving mode for these signals. So 100%, I would
That's
agree on that to you, Patrick. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really, really, again, I enjoyed. So for the audience,
Sure.
thank you for joining in. If you are first time visitor here, thank you very much for passing by. I hope you enjoy. Please subscribe if you didn't do yet. And if you are a loyal audience, thank you very much for all your messages and emails you send me. And of course, I hope to make sure that you are getting the best out of this podcast. So keep your feedbacks coming. Thank you very much. And we'll meet again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.